Okay, let's just jump right into it. We're diving headfirst into a section of the Bible that is just, wow, visually stunning, incredibly complex.
Absolutely.
We're talking about Ezekiel chapter 10.
Mm-mm.
And you have to picture this. Ezekiel the prophet, he's inside the temple in Jerusalem, and he gets this really intense, almost like cinematic vision.
It really is. Very vivid.
Yeah, filled with divine presence, these bizarre celestial beings, and what seems like a really significant task, maybe even ominous.
Definitely leaning towards ominous, I'd say.
So our mission in this deep dive is really to try and unpack this scene, pull out the key details and figure out what this, well, frankly, mind-bending imagery might be telling us.
It's famous for a reason, right? Or infamous, maybe. It's just so strange and awe-inspiring.
Exactly. Let's see what we can make of it.
Okay, so it's a really pivotal moment in Ezekiel, especially thinking about the temple.
Yeah.
And the vision kicks off, setting the stage for, well, divine authority. Ezekiel sees the likeness of a throne of sapphire, right? And it's positioned above the expanse that was over the heads of the cherubim.
Okay, so straight away, God's presence on a throne, high above these powerful beings, the cherubim.
Precisely. It just screams divine sovereignty over this whole incredible scene.
And then amidst this whole powerful setup, this figure appears. A man described as being clothed in linen.
Yes. And he's not just there. There's immediate action directed right at him.
What's he told to do?
The voice of the Lord speaks directly to him. The command is, go in among the wheels beneath the cherubim and fill your hands with burning coals from among the cherubim.
Burning coals, okay.
And then the crucial part, scatter them over the city.
Scattering burning coals over the city. That sounds bad.
It's heavy with meaning, isn't it? Especially in Ezekiel's context, with Jerusalem's destruction looming. It's a clear symbol of judgment. Divine wrath sort of literally being poured out.
So this figure, this man in linen, he's like an agent of God tasked with starting this physical act of judgment.
And he's getting the instrument of that judgment, the coals, directly from the divine presence itself.
Wow. Okay. The text also mentions, doesn't it, where the cherubim were standing, south side of the temple.
Yeah, a little spatial detail to help us picture it inside the temple layout. Standing on the south side of the temple when the man went in.
And as soon as he goes in to get those coals, things escalate.
Dramatically. The text says a cloud filled the inner court.
The cloud. That's often a sign of God's presence, right? His glory.
Exactly. It often accompanies these big manifestations of God's glory.
And then the presence itself, the glory, it does something significant. It moves.
Yes. The glory of the Lord rose from above the cherubim and moved to the threshold of the temple.
Okay, that feels important. The glory moving, leaving its spot above the cherubim.
It's absolutely critical in Ezekiel's prophecy. The glory of the Lord, this visible manifestation of God's presence and power. Seeing it move, going to the threshold of the temple.
Like the doorway almost.
Right. It suggests a transition, maybe a withdrawal,
Yeah.
stepping away from the most holy place.
And the power of this presence, it's described as overwhelming, isn't it?
Totally. The cloud filled the temple, and the court was full of the radiance of the glory of the Lord. Just blinding brilliance.
And the sound, too. The sound of the cherubim's wings.
Yeah, heard all the way out in the outer court. And it sounds like the voice of God Almighty when he speaks.
So their movement literally sounds like God's voice.
Yeah.
That gives you an immense sense of scale, of power.
Yeah.
It connects these beings directly to, well, divine authority.
It really hammers home that everything happening here is fundamentally connected to God himself.
Okay, so let's circle back to the man in linen and those coals. He was told to get fire from among the wheels.
Yeah.
Or the cherubim.
Right.
How does he actually get them?
Ezekiel sees him go in and stand beside one of the wheels. And then there's this incredibly vivid, slightly strange detail.
Go on.
One of the cherubim reached out his hand to the fire that was among them. He took up some of it and put it into the hands of the man in linen.
A cherub hands him the fire.
Exactly. Who took it and went out.
And doesn't the text add something about their hands? Like an aside.
It does, almost in parentheses. Under the wings of the cherubim could be seen what looked like the hands of a man.
That's fascinating. So these complex, otherworldly beings still have something resembling human hands, capable of interacting.
Yeah, and one of them acts as the intermediary, passing the instrument of judgment to the human agent. It directly links the divine, the celestial, and the human action in this whole process against the city.
Okay, this vision also really focuses on another key element, maybe the most perplexing one. The wheels.
Ah, yes, the wheels. Ezekiel sees 4 of them, right? Beside the cherubim, 4 wheels, one beside each of the cherubim.
And their appearance?
Striking. They sparkled like chrysolite, a precious stone, so suggesting brilliance, maybe purity.
But it's their structure that's really weird, isn't it?
That's what really sets them apart. As for their appearance, the 4 of them looked alike. Each was like a wheel intersecting a wheel.
Like a wheel inside a wheel, cutting through at a right angle. Trying to picture that. It's tricky.
It is. But it strongly suggests something capable of moving instantly in any direction.
And their movement confirms that, right? As they moved, they would go in any one of the 4 directions the cherubim faced. The wheels did not turn about as the cherubim went.
Exactly. They don't need to pivot like a normal wheel. They just go wherever the cherubim go without having to reorient.
The cherubim went in whatever direction the head faced without turning as they went. It sounds incredibly fluid, responsive, versatile movement.
And that unique quality is probably why they get a specific name in the vision. Ezekiel says, I heard the wheels being called the whirling wheels.
Whirling wheels. Okay. That definitely evokes dynamic motion, maybe spinning or rotating in a way that allows that instant direction change.
Yeah, they're not just static objects. They're full of active potential.
And the description just keeps layering on the detail, building this sense of overwhelming power and awareness.
You're thinking of the eyes.
Yes. Their entire bodies, including their backs, their hands, and their wings, were completely full of eyes, as were their 4 wheels. Full of eyes. Everywhere.
It's intense imagery, isn't it? What does full of eyes suggest? Usually interpreted as complete awareness, right? Omniscience, watchfulness.
Like I see everything.
Exactly. These beings, and even the wheels they're connected to, they see it all. Nothing's hidden from them or from the divine presence they serve.
And this detail really highlights the connection between the cherubim and the wheels. They're not just separate things next to each other.
Not at all. The text is explicit about how integrated they are. When the cherubim moved, the wheels beside them moved. And when the cherubim spread their wings to rise from the ground, the wheels did not leave their side.
Inseparable.
Completely, like one composite system.
Their movement is perfectly synchronized.
Absolutely. When the cherubim stood still, they also stood still. And when the cherubim rose, they rose with them. Perfectly coordinated.
And there's a reason given for this, something profound.
Yes, and a little mysterious. Because the spirit of the living creatures was in them.
The spirit in them. So the wheels aren't just like mechanical parts.
Exactly. They're animated by the same divine spirit that animates the cherubim. They're living, conscious parts of this mobile divine entourage.
Yeah.
Infused with the same life force or intelligence.
Wow. Okay, and speaking of the cherubim themselves, their faces get described again here, right?
Yeah.
Linking back to the earlier vision.
Yes, he specifies the faces again. Each of the cherubim had 4 faces. One face was that of a cherub, the second the face of a man, the third the face of a lion, and the fourth the face of an eagle.
Those 4 faces, sometimes seen as representing all of creation or maybe dominion.
Often interpreted that way, yeah. Representing maybe the wild, the human, the powerful beast, the creature of the air. Symbolizing comprehensive scope, maybe looking everywhere at once, which ties back to the eyes and the multi-directional movement.
And the detail about the hands under their wings, looking like human hands, that's repeated too.
It is. Reinforces that image of interactive capability. So 4 faces, 4 wings, human-like hands under the wings.
And their movement is always purposeful. Straight ahead.
Consistent throughout. Each one went straight ahead. Directness, no hesitation.
Now, you mentioned linking back. Ezekiel himself makes that connection explicit here, doesn't he?
He does, and it's crucial for grounding this vision. He states clearly, these were the living creatures I had seen by the Kibar River.
Ah, so connecting back to chapter 1, his first big vision.
Exactly. It's a direct link. He realizes these aren't new beings. He's seen this divine chariot throne before, back in exile. He says, I realized that they were cherubim.
So it confirms their identity and shows continuity between what he saw by the river and what he's seeing now in the temple.
Right. He even notes their faces had the same appearance as those I had seen by the Kibar River. Consistency.
And then the vision hits its climax, a moment with huge symbolic weight.
Yes. Then the glory of the Lord departed from over the threshold of the temple and stopped above the cherubim.
Departs from the threshold. So it's moved from the inner sanctuary to the threshold and now fully outside.
That's it. Positioned above the cherubim, who are basically ready to go, this is perhaps the most significant action in the whole chapter. The glory, God's visible presence, completes its movement out of the temple building itself.
Signifying Abandonment.
That's the strong implication, abandonment of the physical temple structure.
And with that departure, the cherubim and wheels lift off.
In perfect sync. While I watched, the cherubim spread their wings and rose from the ground, and as they went, the wheels went with them. They ascend, carrying or maybe accompanied by the glory.
And where do they stop?
Their final described location in this part of the vision is really symbolic. They stopped at the entrance to the east gate of the Lord's house, and the glory of the God of Israel was above them.
The east gate, the main entrance and exit.
Right, facing the Mount of Olives, for the glory to leave the inner sanctuary, cross the court, exit the threshold, and finally position itself outside the temple proper, at the east gate. It's a powerful visual statement. God is leaving. The temple's fate is sealed.
Okay, whew. That's a lot. Let's try to pull this incredible complex tapestry together for you listening.
Yeah.
Based just on chapter 10, what does this vision really reveal about the divine?
Well, first and foremost, I think it portrays the divine presence as intensely mobile. God isn't tied down to a physical building, not even the temple. The glory moves.
Right. And the beings with this presence, the cherubim, the interconnected whirling wheels, they're shown as incredibly intricate, powerful, and totally unified.
Like one seamless system animated by that divine spirit, full of awareness, all those eyes,
Yeah.
capable of this complex, instantaneous movement.
Yeah, the sheer strangeness, the overwhelming detail, multiple faces, eyes everywhere, the wheels within wheels, it feels like it's meant to convey something utterly beyond us. Immense power, awareness, authority that can act anywhere.
Absolutely. And critically, this mobile, powerful, hyper-aware presence is directly tied to judgment. Remember the coals.
Passed from the cherub to the man in linen.
Exactly. Originating from within this divine entourage, the city's fate is inseparable from the actions of this divine manifestation.
And finally, the big event. The departure of the glory of the Lord from the temple.
That's the overarching narrative here. It's a profound theological moment. A withdrawal, a leaving behind of the physical building, anticipating its destruction and the exile. God's presence isn't trapped. It can, and in this case, does move.
So we've wrestled with this vision. The mobile throne, the multifaceted eye-covered cherubim, those intricately connected whirling wheels, the fiery judgment coals, and the radiating glory of the Lord.
And we've seen that glory complete its move, departing the temple, stopping at the east gate.
So the big question left hanging, maybe, what does this incredibly vivid and honestly unsettling scene ultimately tell us about divine power, presence, and judgment?
And maybe, what are the implications when that divine presence is shown not as fixed, but as mobile, even departing from places we might think are its permanent home?
Yeah, that's definitely something to sit with and reflect on.